Radio Medium is made possible by our sponsors, your hometown lawyers, Kanowski Bresney, Washington Square Realtors, who turn houses into homes, Ottawa's WRWO 94.5 FM, and Beth Jordan Productions, plus many fine individuals contribute their talents to this broadcast. If you'd like to sponsor our program and share your message in exchange for a tax deduction, contact us at radiomediumlauralee.com.
Find insight, guidance, and answers. Tune into Spirit with Radio Medium Laura Lee.
Have you ever found yourself spontaneously speaking out loud to the dearly departed on the other side? My listener Norman shares his spirit story about having a discussion with a friend on the other side while he was in a hotel room. He wrote, "Dear Laura, I had a very close friendship with a man named Robbie. Robbie was an intelligent, charming, and sophisticated man. Shortly after we met, because of a business venture, he asked his assistant to hold his calls, and he talked to me about life and love. After several such conversations, I started to call him my honorary grandfather. I recall being with him when he turned 72 at his birthday party. He surprised me by telling me that when he died, he wanted to go to hell. I asked him why, and he responded that all the really interesting people were in hell." This is why I chose this story for today, given it's the Halloween season. More than 2 decades later, Robbie passed away at 96, a sad day for all those who knew him. I remember a few years ago, I was traveling on business and I started to think about him. I found myself starting to talk to him, and all the while looking at the ceiling, metaphorically thinking it was heaven. A few minutes later into the conversation, I started to laugh. I remembered Robbie telling me that when he died, he wanted to go to hell. So I turned away from heaven, looked to the floor, and continued my discussion with Robbie about life. After our conversation ended, I called his widow and told her about looking at the ceiling and then looking at the floor at my hotel room. She laughed and said that Robbie would be so happy to know that someone remembered he longed to be in hell with all the other interesting people. As I said, it is not an obvious story that your listeners tell you, but I wanted to share the story about Robbie, who is an awfully good friend to myself and many others, and a wonderful husband to his wife. Thank you for sharing that story, Norman. I love it. And I would like to point out a couple of things about Norman's story. It's not unusual that a loved one comes to mind after they crossed, like it did for Norman. To me, it's no different than when we think of our living friends or family, and then only to receive their phone calls moments, hours, maybe days later. That's because they are thinking of us too. Spirits work in the same manner. That's how it is for me to share messages with my callers. I sense what they vibe, whether they communicate visually, verbally, or through my feelings. And when I say verbally, it comes through thought and what they want to say. And that's why Norman said he was actually holding a conversation with his friend Robbie. Talking to your loved one, if not out loud, because I know some of you will think that's a little bit nuts, but telepathically works fine too. Having those discussions through your thoughts, like I was just saying. While you may not clearly receive their messages, such as a professional medium, they hear you loud and clear. If you have a personal spirit story you would like to share with our audience, go to radiomediumlauralee.com and submit your story on our contact page. And you can also go to Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter too. And I'd love to hear from you.